We are live. I am September Smith. I'm the host of the upcoming Breakthrough with Media Summit happening June 14th to the 16th. And it's going to be a live 3-day virtual event for entrepreneurs, authors, and change makers. We're gathering 20 industry experts, 2 of whom I have here with me today. And we're going to bring all of this expert knowledge and strategy under one virtual roof to help you start leveling up your business, your positioning, who knows, even your life maybe, with publicity, PR, paid public speaking, and media exposure, like appearances on television, podcasts, radio, and magazines. Everything that you need to be playing a much bigger game. Today is the first pre-summit live stream, and I'm talking with 2 of our speakers about what you need to know about PR. And they know something about PR, both PR experts. Kahshanna Evans is a PR expert and owner of Kissing Lions Public Relations. Bobbie Carlton is also a PR expert and founder of Carlton PR and Marketing, as well as the founder of Innovation Women, a disruptor in the speaker bureau world, which she's going to be talking about at the summit. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much for having us.
Hello.
It's so awesome to be able to share just before we, be 2 weeks out from the summit. But I really want people to get a taste of our speakers and what it is they bring and why some of these topics are really something that might be on the periphery of your vision of what you want to be doing to get your media and your speaking. But really, you should be looking at them at the center of it. And what one I want to talk about today is PR. So before we go too deep on that, Kahshanna, can you tell me a little bit about Kissing Lions?
Yes. So hello to the audience. We are pumped. We are excited. We cannot wait to connect. So you'll see our messages in the days to come. To tell you a little bit more about myself, Kissing Lions Public Relations is my tiny but mighty independent consultancy. I've rounded 11 years of providing strategy, branding, marketing communications for amazing subject matter experts, and also initiatives and projects that just, they're bringing creativity to the world, and they're helping further establish, the voices of people who are really walking the talk. So super glad to be here. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can get the details there. I'm also the founding member for Spiral 5, which is a public relations sort of educational platform. So hello to the Spiral 5 community, and hello to the Breakthrough with Media Summit participants. We can't wait to meet you.
I did not know about that second, the educational piece. That's awesome. Yeah. And next up, we've got Bobbie Carlton. Tell us a little bit about Carlton PR and Marketing.
Sure. So I usually tell people that Carlton PR Marketing is my day job. That is how I make an actual living. We work primarily with startups and small companies. I've got almost 37 years of public relations expertise, from some of the biggest enterprise software companies to the tiny little kitchen table startups you hopefully have heard of. But my night job for many years was launching more than 1,500 new products in the Boston market. These companies got more than $4 billion in funding through my project called Innovation Nights. And Innovation Women is the dream job. So I have a day job, night job, and a dream job. Innovation Women is all about the dream of getting more women on stage at conferences and events, because visibility drives business and career opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. Too many women, but also men are thinking, can I just hide behind my computer and I'll just do really good work? And no, you've got to be visible. You've got to get out there. And swinging back to the whole thing of PR. PR is what's going to get you out there. It's a piece of that puzzle. So I want to ask you guys, just in case anybody's listening to this and they're thinking, PR, yeah, I know PR. Oh, it's PR. We use that term all the time. But what actually is PR? So if we were just going to get into like a basic description of it, like, is it basically just marketing? What is PR? Kahshanna, I'd start with you.
Sure. And I was actually like, great, I can't wait to hear Bobbie's definition of this. We entered that universe and sort of different times. So I approach public relations. Public relations is the strategy, right? I consider myself providing strategy for my clients, whether it's marketing, communications, branding, or public relations specifically. Combination of all, or just one of the above. I think the difference is, so public relations is something that is looking at the entire strategy. And publicity specifically addresses media visibility. I rarely, if ever, just focus on the sort of publicity, because it's just too much fun to kind of tackle subject matter experts who sort of need a little bit of everything in order to feel that brand confidence and be newsworthy, right? As opposed to kind of looking at that neighbor next door that doesn't have as much experience and just wondering like, where did I go wrong here? So it's not about a right or wrong. It's just more about understanding that strategy is a much larger and much more substantial component that we really have to invest in when we're ready to be visible.
Cool. And Bobbie.
Yes, what she said. No. +1.
To you, how would you explain PR?
Absolutely. And I get asked this a lot because a lot of people think about PR as just media relations or publicity through the media. And I do think of public relations as a much broader approach to what the public thinks about you, your business, and the offerings that you have as a company. And I do feel like we need to think about public relations as a much broader strategic initiative versus the very tactical media relations. I will say the advent of social media so changed what happens in the world of public relations. And I feel like some of those early adopters of social media really did get a jump on connecting directly with the public versus going through the gatekeepers of a media. So just, I think that a lot of this stuff around public relations is just so much bigger than people realize.
I love that, Bobbie. I just want to add here for those who may be watching and are sort of taking notes on the differences of public relations and publicity. It's very important to remember this industry is something of a unicorn industry, right? So you want to keep in mind that a lot of these industries, public relations, communications, they are based on intellectual property. Right. So you have strategists who have really been refining their game plan and their roadmaps and in order to support you in developing the visibility initiatives that you need to.
Absolutely. And, a lot of times when people are thinking about public relations and they're just familiar with overall marketing, I think that they look at PR as just a part of marketing where it is just that so much broader. No, I thought for a minute we lost. There she is.
No, I just thought, hey, you guys are the stars talking about PR. I'm going to get off the screen for a second here. Make more room for you. No, I'm here. Somebody's driving the bus.
And I think that public relations and PR is what others think about us. It's like, do they think about us strategically? Do they think about us positively? And how can we impact how others think about us? That's really what it comes down to in terms of PR. Advertising, general marketing is always what we say about ourselves, and public relations is about what others say about us and how we can influence that.
I love that last piece, how we can influence that. Yes. Now, from my understanding, having talked to so many of you amazing people about publicity, about PR, the difference between publicity and publicity is like awareness, catch their attention, but PR is kind of actually not manipulating, but crafting the thought, the perception of your audience once you have their attention. Now, am I off base on that?
Yeah, you're...
I would just say, I put it in layman's terms. And to say what you just said in a different way, September, what makes you newsworthy. Your strategist will be helping you understand how your brand is functioning so that you are newsworthy. So oftentimes a misperception of public relations is, hey, I'm on a permanent vacation. I've got a little bit of a budget. I can sort of toss it over and kind of head into my horizon without having to make different decisions and building. So I would say that's a misperception if you are really ready to become visible, especially if you don't have experience with visibility. You'll want to have the bandwidth. It's a very exciting journey, but it's super important to remember these are often highly collaborative processes that really take your vision to that next level.
Yeah. I'm also going to jump in on one kind of side jaunt here. When you've been working in public relations as long as I have, it's always the person who comes up with the exception to everything you've been talking about that I'm always watching out for. And in this case, sometimes the exception is crisis communications. You don't want to be newsworthy. And a lot of my biggest clients and best clients employ me to make sure they are not newsworthy in the way they don't want to be newsworthy about certain things. So when there is a crisis, we do get involved in that type of communications, strategy setting, and emergency and crisis communications planning. For example, one of my biggest, probably most visible things that I did in crisis communications world was I did public relations for passengers on the Diamond Princess in February 2020. And, we were involved in the world's biggest, hottest story. We were right at the center of it because we had people who were quarantined on a cruise ship off the coast of Japan. And, if I was doing public relations for the cruise ship, I would have had a very different strategy and tactics than I had for my clients, the passengers, who looked at this as a crisis of their own lives. And they thought that, frankly, being in quarantine on a cruise ship with the quarantine being handled by people who were unfamiliar with being quarantined and were potentially infected themselves was probably detrimental to their health. And considering that cruise ship was the second largest hotspot after Wuhan, China at the time, they were correct in that. And so our goal was to get them out there and get their message across, which is very often the opposite of what you do in crisis communications.
Right. So that actually is surprising to me. It never would have occurred to me that a group of passengers, as opposed to a company. So it's not just companies per se that need a PR hand at the wheel to help them craft the perception. Interesting. So for businesses, like the people who will be coming to the summit are businesses, entrepreneurs, change makers, and they want to get their message out there, their image. But as you say, the crafting the perception. What is the most important thing for them to be thinking about right out of the gate? I put that over to Kahshanna.
Sure. So, and thank you, Bobbie, for clarifying that. I think it's so important for audiences to know how crisis comms may kind of view newsworthy through a completely separate lens. So for the audience watching now and that will watch this a little bit later, my focus has been on making sure brands are newsworthy in a positive way, telling the stories they'd like to tell, and being aligned in the media to speak on topics and subjects that they are an expert on speaking about. So can you repeat the question, September? I know.
What do people who are just possibly at the doorstep of this, and a lot of the people at the summit will be just getting started with their visibility plan, and if they want to encompass PR, what is it they should be thinking about?
Yes.
Right out of the gate.
Thank you. And it's I'm a different time zone here, so I'm still acclimating. Sorry about that. Had a little hiccup in thought there. So really, I think one of the most exciting things for a brand to do that has never had public relations is to start your prep, right? So you might land with someone like Bobbie when you have your prep together, or maybe Bobbie still takes clients that are sort of in those new, taking those first strides. You want to make sure that you sort of have that bullet checklist. There's a lot of mindset that you can just do preemptively to get ready, right? So that mindset includes, am I ready to commit to that sort of highly collaborative process? If there are several conversations about strategy and timeline, sort of rolling out news, press releases, and also how to get our brand a little bit more, looking a little bit more newsworthy, and make sure that our website and our materials are ready, that's actually the best mindset to enter. So sometimes there's so much you can do before you even have those initial conversations. The other last thing that I will mention before I hand it over to Bobbie is that it's really important to understand what your priorities are. So
Now, is that something you could help people with? Because not everybody maybe might know what the right priorities are.
sure. So depending on the service that you are going to, like if you're working with someone like me, I'm an independent consultant, I would be able to have an initial conversation, gather that insight, and really help the person understand, here's where you're starting, here's what it sounds like you need. And from there, we'd really start shaping a scope of work. For those that are just starting, that would really focus on where they are. I like to meet people where they are. And I'd like to understand if they feel vulnerable or sensitive about any part of these strategies we'll be working on together, because that's actually like really important to unpack, so that there's no blind spots, there's no shyness, there's no, oh, I thought you were going to make me take a picture and I don't want to share my picture. So those are things you want to think about and start with right away.
Wow. What would you say to all this, Bobbie?
Like every marketing program, and public relations and publicity and media relations should be part of your integrated marketing strategy. I always start with goals. What do you want to accomplish? And by starting with the goals, you can actually start crafting a program, crafting messages, and crafting a plan of action that enables you to move through your tactics and your strategies and actually get to that goal. For a lot of businesses, as well as a lot of individual entrepreneurs or people who are doing personal branding, I think they get caught up in the excitement of, oh, I'm going to be in the Wall Street Journal, or, oh, I'm going to be on this stage, which is all part of your visibility. But they really don't think about what that gets them. So start off thinking about what you want to accomplish with this visibility. Who is your target audience? What do you want that target audience to know about you? And what do you want that target audience to do? What is the call to action? Keep it very simple. One of the things about public relations is it expands to fill the time allotted. There's always another phone call you can make. There's always another pitch you can create. So start off by really closely defining what you want to accomplish.
Okay, yeah, I think that's true for almost anything in what we're going to be talking about in the summit. That whole visibility thing is like, don't go running out the door until you know where you're going. Make sure you have that destination in mind. So one last question, just we've touched on publicity, PR, and there are, as you said, it's a very integrated. All these different elements are very integrated. But what I'm hearing from the discussion here is, like Kahshanna had mentioned, that the website and the brand and all that, that's definitely not on the publicity side. That seems to me to be, that's definitely on the PR. What's the look, the feel, and the perception? How would you, I mean, that's my novice's take on the difference between publicity and PR. How would you differentiate between publicity and PR? And which one is more important? Or can we say that? What do you think, Kahshanna?
So, I don't really like to sort of, usually by the time I start a conversation with a client, the last thing they're asking is this PR or public relations? They're really ready to jump in. However, and picking up where Bobbie left off, if you know what your goals are, you're going to be having that conversation. That's what you need to lead with, because whether a person deems themselves as an expert at public relations or publicity, or we're kind of using definitions in different ways based on our own brands, it still really is important to, as Bobbie mentioned, have those goals. Personally, I've worked with authors that are taking their first steps at visibility, right? So these have been niche subject matter experts, maybe 20 plus, 30 plus years of experience in their field, whether that's an LCSW. I'm working with some amazing authors right now. So we've had to have these really beginner discussions. And if I look like I'm beaming, these are so fantastic to help them frame what it is they're really looking for. So to Bobbie's point, it's like that excitement of being in this, high level article and being mentioned, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, right? So there's that component, which is really exciting. But to me, one of the most exciting things when I'm working with someone who never have seen themselves the way I see them and I see their potential is that they usually shift and they become aware and they develop those muscles to understand how to not be in their own way when it comes to visibility, and also how to collaborate and keep themselves kind of on that cutting edge. So I think to me, that's one of the most exciting things for someone who's just getting started with visibility, whether it's a startup. Oftentimes founders are having the same conversations as a niche subject matter expert. So Bobbie, I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
Collaboration was interesting for me.
Yeah,
I expect to hear that in
absolutely.
a conversation, but yeah, collaboration.
I mean, it's like, how many times can I go, yes, what my sister said here?
As many times as you want.
Yeah, like, I think
She's so right.
I think people often get kind of caught up, especially when they're not in the industry, around the differences and the nuances of PR and publicity and media relations and integrated marketing. And the reality is, we are out there to tell a story. We are out there to tell a story about a company, a person, a product, a group of people. And we're telling a story that makes them be seen in the best light, that directly communicates the benefits of working with this person, using this product, connecting with this company. Because there are so many things and people and companies out there in the world that we are there to support the people who need that visibility. Every time we get someone on stage, through Innovation Women, like my goal there is to get more women on stage. We are supporting their ability to tell their own story. We are supporting their ability to be seen and be visible. We are helping them make more money, which further supports their visibility. And hey, they can pay us too. Woohoo! No, it is this thing where it's like we need to get them on stage so they can tell those stories, so they can get paid more, so they can be seen as leaders and thought leaders and be credible and experts. Like, this is what we are doing, and this is not just marketing. This is a mission. I feel like for public relations people and people who are supporting the women in this group in particular, not just the guys, but the women, like we want to have a voice, and we want to have a voice in the world.
So both through the speaking and through the PR. Kahshanna, you had something to mention about Innovation Women.
I do. I have to give Bobbie some praise. OMG. I am a member of Innovation Women, and I was so delighted that our world shrank and that we're both, joining September and the rest of the amazing people in this summit. Definitely when we think about strategy, what Bobbie is doing is keep it in your back pocket, keep it tucked in, keep it bookmarked. You absolutely stand to benefit from aligning your persona, your brand, your personal brand, however you see it, you beginning that journey of being visible, I mean, Bobbie, you have fast-tracked an incredible resource and tool for women ready to tell their story, and I just love it. So had to just give a little praise to the audience watching.
Yeah. And it sounds like Innovation Women really dovetails with the whole PR logic and
Yeah.
approach.
I mean, I think a lot of people think about speaking bureaus very narrowly. And I think about it as we're not just getting people on stage, we're increasing their visibility. We are helping them be seen as those thought leaders and experts and adding credibility to them.
And
And, we've much, broadened it out. I mean, some of your clients have books and we see the overlapping of being an author as important to our mission as well. It's like that is another way that we are getting people visible. They have a book, they are sharing their thoughts, they're telling their story. So let's support that aspect as well.
I love that. And I would just kind of speak a little bit to that overlap, Bobbie. It's perfect. One of the most significant conversations I've had in the last year was with one of my all-time favorite authors, Bridget Dingle Gaspard. She's amazing, author of The Final Eight, Enlist Your Inner Selves to Accomplish Your Goals. We had a dynamic conversation, and the conversation was about specificity, like, shouldn't I just be in the media just based on this book? And I had, like, of course, a whole stack of reasons why I'm like, no, I've got this other idea. Let's position you as a subject matter expert on everything that you're an expert at, right? So in a media market that's disrupted like it is due to the pandemic and also due to ongoing crisis overseas, it's really important that we double down and triple down on our strategy so that we're always growing, right? So it's we want an ABC book. We want to go into 7-Eleven and make sure that it's like, this is the book, I bought it. It says right here. But you have to remember about this industry. It's elemental. It's moving, it's fluid, it's flexible. And it's like, can you draw fire? No, you just have to keep watching it until it burns out because it just takes on so many different shapes. I think that's a part of the excitement about that overlap and the perception that it's only one specific thing, which it might be for some clients, but it might be a little bit broader for clients that have gifts that they haven't been able to speak to until now.
Yeah, particularly if that is key and core to their business model. Then yeah, make sure that you are known as that go-to person for those things, not just your book. Your book should support all of that, and PR experts like you can help them get that framed and the perception out there. As you say, that's an interesting point, Kahshanna, about, with everything going on, the more chaos there is in the world and in the news cycle, it's harder and harder to catch people's attention because people are just turning off. So you really need to have that crafted.
Yeah, there can be a malaise, right? So if I can speak for my humanity for a moment, we can get vulnerable. I've had clients that are like, we don't want to seem braggy. There's so much going on. And I think it goes back to what Bobbie said. Really, we have the opportunity by working with authors, by working with subject matter experts or founders. It's so precious what you do, your voice, whether you're helping people to bring joy, whether you're helping people to figure grief out or maybe get ahead, or any other like wonderful thing that helps the world be a better place. That to me is even more reason that you should be empowered to, and yes, as Stasia says.
Oh, and she froze.
Remember, if you are new to the public relations game, so to speak, right? If you're new to the world of public relations, consider the narratives that we already are kind of exhausted by. You're bringing something new. But until you kind of get all the way set up, we're not going to get the chance to hear your voice where it matters, which is in sort of high-level articles, blogs, podcasts, etc.
So many questions. That just led me to no, we're just about at time, so I want to wrap it up. But so I won't ask you that. I might ask you off camera. Bobbie Carlton and Kahshanna Evans, thank you so much for being here with me today at the first pre-summit live, talking about what you need to know about PR. And at the summit, we're going to be weaving that in with all the other elements that we'll be covering, from speaking, paid and otherwise, virtual, TEDx speaking, media, television, radio, publicity, PR, and all of the skills that we need to be bringing together to really make that all an integrated process, as Bobbie said. Thanks so much for being with me, and thank you so much for being with us at this summit. You guys are going to be on day 3. That's June the 16th. I am so glad that you were able to be with me.
So excited, and thank you for all the audience love. We can see this talk track. I cannot wait to review this comment thread. And I've got 1,000,000 watts of yes. Cannot wait to see you all.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Bobbie.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And thank you for getting us together. Even though we've overlapped on the Innovation Women platform and also Lioness Magazine, it's like we hadn't had a chance to actually talk in person.
Zoologists and publicists coinciding right here in the Breakthrough with Media Summit. Talk to you soon, gals.
Bye.
Bye.